What was the most satisfying moment of your life? I was always the screw-up in my family. My dad owned a construction company and made it pretty clear I was too soft for real work. While my older brother Jake was out there learning how to use power tools and laying concrete, I was in my room painting or writing songs on my beat-up guitar. Dad would walk by my door and shake his head like I was some kind of alien. "Art doesn't pay bills, Jaden," he'd say every time I showed him something I made. "You need to grow up and learn a real skill." When I turned 18, we had this massive fight. He wanted me to work construction for the summer before college, and I told him I'd rather flip burgers. That's when he said the thing that still stings. "You're gonna fail at life, and don't come crying to me when you do." So I left, packed everything into 2 garbage bags, and drove to the city with $300 to my name. The next few years were brutal. I worked at coffee shops, delivered pizza, slept in my beat-up Honda for 2 months when I couldn't make rent. I applied to every gallery and art show I could find. Rejection after rejection. My paintings were either too weird or not weird enough, too dark or too bright. I started thinking maybe Dad was right, but I kept painting anyway. Found these abandoned buildings downtown and started doing murals on the walls. Nothing fancy, just stuff that felt real. A kid sitting alone on a swing, an old man feeding pigeons, a woman holding an umbrella over a crying child during a storm. I started filming myself painting these murals on my phone, just time-lapse videos of me working, posted them online with no expectations. The first few got maybe 20 views each. But then, something happened with the umbrella mural. The video went viral, like 2 million views in a week viral. Comments were pouring in, people saying the mural made them cry, others asking where they could buy my art. Local news stations started calling. Within 6 months, I had my first real commission. A restaurant wanted me to paint their entire back wall. By the time I hit 30, I was booked solid for months. My art was on album covers, billboards, even in a movie. I had an apartment with actual furniture and a car that wasn't held together with duct tape. But the one thing I really wanted was for Dad to see it, to admit he was wrong. Then Mom called. Dad had a heart attack. I flew home that same day. At the hospital, he looked so small, hooked up to all those machines. I sat next to his bed and said, "I made it, Dad. I really did." He just stared at the ceiling, didn't say anything. A week later, I was finishing up a mural for the elementary school when this truck pulled up. I looked down from my ladder and there he was, Dad, just standing there watching me work. He didn't say a word for like 20 minutes, just watched me paint this massive tree with kids playing underneath it. When I finally came down, he walked over with this look I'd never seen before. His eyes were all watery. Then he held out his hand. "I saw your billboard on Highway 9, he said quietly. "I was wrong about you. I'm proud of you, son." We stood there in this awkward silence for a minute. Then he said something that completely broke me. "Think you could teach an old man how to paint sometime?" That was the first time I ever cried in front of him. 30 years old, standing in a school parking lot, bawling like a kid. But it was the most satisfying moment of my entire life.